Katz and Cosby, entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
And as we were saying before, a big rally taking place, actually underway right now. It's with Zora Mondani and Bernie Sanders, and they are showing support for three Democratic socialists that they hope to get elected. This is really looks like the trend in the Democratic Party. And join us now is New York State Senator George Borrello. George, it's great to have you here. What do you make of this rally? And Mondani has kind of already tipped his hand. I mean, a couple days ago, he did an interview and saying, I hope this is the direction of the party. Like this is what they want for the rest of America.
Well, you know, socialism hasn't worked anywhere it's tried, and certainly they're leaning, not just leaning in that direction, they're leaning into this far left socialism, and it's also anti-American, anti-Semitic, and everything else that goes along, with this, this party and this movement, and it's absolutely shameful. And by the way, most New Yorkers don't believe socialism is the right route either. And I thought it was interesting too. Bernie Sanders has been in New York a lot. I saw a poll that he is, amongst the Democrats in New York State, he is actually the most popular political figure. So it's not even Zora Mondani, certainly not Kathy Hochul. So that's why I think he's clinging to Bernie Sanders, because amongst Democrats, he is currently the favorite son, not even a New Yorker, but certainly a far left, icon. But it's just absolutely shameful.
Judge Weinberg.
Senator, good to talk to you again. So what do you make of Kathy Hochul and the Democratic state legislature's pied-à-terre tax? They're still trying to figure out how it's going to work, how it's not going to destroy the economic base of people who own apartments, the whole co-op movement in the state. What are your thoughts about this?
Well, I think it's absolutely devastating. And by the way, bad ideas that start in New York City spread like cancer to the rest of the state. We already have a bill that was introduced this year to do the same type of a tax, pied-à-terre tax on properties outside of New York City. Also, I've heard it's going to impact properties that are valued as little as $1 million in New York City. You're not a rich person. You are not a billionaire if you live in something valued at $1 million in New York City. And it's a tax on a tax, because you're already paying property taxes. You're already paying for the privilege to own property in New York City. And now, how many people now have a place somewhere in the five boroughs because they work there, and perhaps they have a permanent residence somewhere outside the five boroughs? These are the people that you're going to be taxing, and they're going to start selling their properties. It's going to drive down property values. It's going to have a negative impact on the economy. And in the end, I don't think they're going to get anywhere near the $500 million they estimate that they're going to get from this pied-à-terre tax. Look, the governor knows this is a bad idea, but she has to bend the knee to Zora Mondani, because he's more popular than she is, quite frankly, and she needs his support. So she has put these additional taxes in and bowed to his whims. Here's a guy that doesn't know anything about anything, quite frankly. He just speaks well, smiles, and people think he knows what he's talking about. But he hasn't run anything larger than a staff of about a half a dozen people prior to being the mayor of the largest city in America. So I think this is going to be a disaster, but we'll have to buckle up and see what happens.
Ed Cox.
Senator, tell us about the budget that just got passed, Hochul's budget, and the extra amount that was added after the budget was passed.
Another $10 million afterwards.
Yes, exactly. So it was supposed to be $268 billion with a B, which, by the way, is a massive increase since we've had one-party rule, about $100 billion more than the last time we had balanced government in New York State in 2019. But on top of that, they said all of a sudden, about a week later, after the budget was passed, oh, wait, it's actually $277 billion. It's unbelievable. It's the largest per capita of any budget in the nation. And about almost half of it, by the way, is Medicaid, which is a hugely fraudulent
That's
program.
what I wanted to say. George Borrello, I want to remind everybody, Florida, 24 million people, their Medicaid budget is $25 billion. New York, 19.5 million people, their Medicaid budget is $125 billion. Somewhere, something is rotten somewhere.
No doubt about it. In fact, just yesterday, the Justice Department unsealed they are going after Medicaid in New York State. There's a corruption case filed by the Department of Justice against the Department of Health here in New York State, claiming fraud in a huge chunk program that is the CDPAP, which is home health care. They hired a company. It appears to be a fraudulent bid. That's the accusation. A company that was already hiring people in New York State before the bids were actually closed and a vendor was chosen. They've had a history, I'm told. There's allegations of wage theft by this company when they've done this elsewhere, and they're already having problems here in New York State. People are not getting paid. These are people that are actually going into the homes of senior citizens, people with developmental disabilities, and caring for them, keeping them out of nursing homes. And these people are not getting paid properly, which we're already hearing. It's a fraudulent program, and this is just the tip of the iceberg. We
got to go because we got some other people waiting online. But George Borrello, let's continue this conversation on Sunday.
Absolutely, will do. Thank you.